In today's conversation, we're speaking with Sadeia, an activist and leader who's fighting for the future of Sudan. Sadeia, thanks so much for being here with us. We're really excited to speak a little bit more with you today about your work, about Sudan, hopefully help some people understand the actual situation, because especially with conversations with you, it's a situation that's not spoken as much about on the international stage. But to start, can you just share a little bit about who you are and about the work that you're doing?
Yes, I'm Sadia Rashid Ali. By the way, as Sudanese, we don't have a last name. We don't use last name. So this thing you should know. Yes, every time when someone asks us to introduce ourselves, we say this awkward four names: Sadia Rashid Ali Hamid. So yes, this is me. I'm a mom of 4 kids. I have teenage boys who are 13 years old. I have and twins, by the way. We have 2 daughters. One of them is 9 years old and one is 10 months. And I have a master's degree in information security. I've studied in University of Khartoum, one of the most known university in Sudan. I've lived all my life in Sudan. I studied there. I lived all my life, except when I traveled with my husband to Saudi Arabia, and I'm currently residing in Saudi Arabia. For me, Sudan is everything. It's not just my country. It's not just my identity. It's my cause. As someone who loved my country so much, I want the best for it. And I feel like we don't deserve what's happening. People doesn't know much about us. So whenever I find the chance to talk about Sudan and talk about everything happening, I always welcome that. I've been known in social media for speaking and for talking openly about how I feel about my country and how I feel about any causes. And this is what make people, I think, wanted to listen to me. So basically, this is just me. This is just Sadia.
Yeah,
Really appreciate that. Yeah, George.
No, I don't have a question, Sadia. I just wanted to say that obviously I've been following your work, as you said, on social media, and we are
Amazing.
deeply inspired by what you're doing, and really excited to talk to you today because actually, Dylan and I with Sadeia have done a lot of work across Brazil and the UK and in bits sort of kind of across the world. But we know that local change makers exist on the ground in your context and in the Middle East and in Sudan. But we haven't had the chance yet to talk to one of them. So it's a really awesome opportunity for us today. And I just wanted to recognize that.
Yeah, can we start with Sudan and just kind of give a brief understanding of the last few years, what the situation's been like and kind of what the main challenges are?
Yes. So what you should know about Sudan, Sudan has been an ongoing revolution ever since the British colony. We were just fighting for the change, for the country we deserve, for what we really wanted for our country. And this has resulted in so many coups and marches, and we lost so many people on the cause. But up until this day, we are on ongoing fighting against not just in Sudan. It's not Sudanese people fighting against each other. You should understand that there are more people, more countries are involved, more vicious people are involved in this. So it's not just we are Sudanese fighting against each other. There are people who are supporting this part, people who are supporting the other part. And this is what leading to what's happening. Because if it's just Sudanese fighting against each other, we will find the middle ground and then make peace eventually. As Sudanese, we love our country so much. So we will find somehow a middle ground and then deal with it. So for me, I'm Sudanese. I'm part of Sudan. I feel like every part of Sudan is connected to it. Just I want to tell you how connected I am. If I'm talking about Sudanese top, which is a dress women wear, cover that women wear, or jalabiya, which is also for men. It's some sort of dress for men. If I sew on the street, I will feel connected immediately. I just want to go and say hi. I will feel obligated to this, this human being. This is how much we love our country. I don't know if you heard many Sudanese or if you met many Sudanese, but Everyone all around the world are saying Sudanese are one of the best or one of the good in nature people. We are so good that we will meet you, okay? I will cut the road for you and then invite you to have lunch or dinner with us. This is how good we are. We will just welcome you. If you come and knock on our door as a guest, you are welcome. You will have the hospitality of Sudanese. So it's not civil war. This is when I really wanted to people to understand what's happening in Sudan is not a civil war. It's actually many entities are trying to overcome or trying to overtake what's happening in Sudan, and this is exactly what we are facing. We're not just facing problems in our country that's coming from disagreement or change of color or like these two tribes are fighting against each other. It's not like this. Every time I talk, I just wanted to make sure people understand this.
Yeah, I mean, so it sounds like Sudan's a huge country. It's a very diverse country, but there's a really strong sense of Sudanese, of what it means to be Sudanese, no matter where you are, what part of the country you're from. And then, so the current conflict, you said that it's essentially since like the British Empire, Sudan's been in some sort of conflict. But the current conflict is it similar to those, or is it more intense? Because that's the source of the refugee crisis and stuff right now is the current conflict. Is that correct in saying that?
What you can say, it's actually been the same. So some people have greedy to take what we have in Sudan and for free, or at least for the minimum. Okay, we have, as you say, Sudan is a big country, and I'm still talking about Sudan as a 1 million square. We're not just South Sudan split it from us. They are still part of us. But the thing is, we are rich in many things. I mean, I'll just give you one example. Like, if you throw seeds on the ground, come after couples of weeks, you will find it grow. So we have crops, we have minerals, we have like all the things that will make people want it to take this from the country. So what you're gonna do? You will give some people weapons and give them money, and then you will just take what we have, what we should have, what we should, as Sudanese, have as part of our country. We should be a very rich country, and as people, we are capable of taking this country back, taking it to become a very rich, and it can become a very advanced country. But the problem is we have the one who are in control, the one who are having all the weapons that are backed from other nations that doesn't want this or want it for free or want it what we have. And then as the people, the normal people who cannot do anything. So we find ourselves in middle of war, and what can we do? We cannot fight. Okay, we are just civilians. We cannot just take weapons and fight. And actually, some people took weapons and fight because they wanted to protect themselves. You will find someone coming to your house, take everything, rape your girls, your boys, anything. They will take everything. What you gonna do? And you will find with what you have. Otherwise, you will just leave or be displaced to a different city. And sometimes that luxury you don't have. Some people don't have the luxury to travel outside or displace to different areas because it's expensive just going and all of that. So
It's a case of
basically what's happening.
exploitation, really, right? Like people,
Exactly.
groups and organizations coming to try to exploit the resources of Sudan.
Exactly.
And so often,
Yeah.
Sadeia will, at Sadeia, Dylan and I have had the privilege of working with these lived experience leaders or change makers, impact makers like yourself that will come on to all the astonishing work that you've been doing. But is growing up in that context, is that where your belief comes from? Is that where your desire to work in this field, that passion, does it come from that growing up in that context? Can we talk a bit about what that was like?
Okay. So yes, I've grown all my life in Sudan and know Sudan, and I lived in Sudan and everything. But I just want to remind you that not just the Sudanese who stayed in Sudan or lived their lives in Sudan. We have marchers who came from the US, okay? Who came from very far nations, just come to join the revolution and died in Sudan. So I think this is not just for the people who live in Sudan. But for me, as my personal experience, I know, like, I love everything about my country, even the hardship, even the struggle, even the fact, like, we didn't have free education, we didn't have free healthcare, we didn't have any of that. But I know I love the people. I love even, the smell of the grass. I love the rainy season. I love looking. My best view ever is when I cross the bridge from Bahri, where I live, to Khartoum, where is my university, and I just see the River Nile. It's feel magical somehow. This view is worth any other view in the whole world. It's worth even the Eiffel Tower or anything. This just view, just from the window from the bus, and I be riding in a bus in a very hot season, and it's even the chair itself is wobbly and everything. Just looking at the window and seeing this magical and sun sometimes setting, or just the sunlight reflecting on the water, this is just like, this is will wipe every tiredness or everything you have. And I always think, as long as we have this river crossing our country, we will be okay. Like, we can do anything, because this is, we have, like, almost we have everything, having this just River Nile with us. Living in Sudan, sometimes I just, riding the bus, sometimes I just stop, like, a couple neighbors from my stop, and then I just take a walk. I'll find the people who are selling on the street. I'll find like boys playing on the street, and just admire how colorful we are. You will find every shade of color in Sudan. And you will find all of them just in a harmony and talking. You'll find them in the market, chatting, talking, eating, celebrating. Even the Christian, you will find them celebrating Muslim holidays. As Muslims, we enjoy when they walk on the street wearing their colorful dresses during their holiday. And we lived in a very nice harmony. And not just that, especially in my family, you will find so many type of cultures, different cultures, like many different tribes. You'll find one is married to a tribe in the west, one is married to a tribe in the east, so we are just like this, connected all together. Yes, this is just if you lived all of your life like this, and drinking from the River Nile and enjoying, everything, vegetables and fruit, they taste different. For me, when I came to Saudi Arabia or came to any other country, everything tastes different. Even the food tastes different. Maybe because it reminds me of how I lived or how I enjoyed living my childhood. But in Sudan, everything tastes different and everything looks different, and everything has its own taste. Even the struggle, somehow you feel it's very comfortable sometimes.
It was really very, very beautiful.
Yeah, to hear
The
how
way that you put
passionate
that.
you are about your country is amazing.
I have such a vivid picture in my head right now of the wobbly seat on the bus and looking at the River Nile and the colors of the vegetables, and that was it was really wonderfully put.
Yeah, it's clear where your desire to help comes from. It's to get back to Sudan, I'm imagining, to get back to that lifestyle and be able to experience that again. So I think that's a good transition to talk a little bit about the work that you're doing and how you're helping now. To start, we were talking about how this is a really big humanitarian crisis that feels somewhat forgotten in the international community. So I wanted to understand, as a local leader and somebody trying to help, what does that feel like?
Yeah, when the war happened and when everything like just collapsed, our world just collapsed. And I know our country is not like we don't have a great infrastructure. And then just the war comes and everything seems like destroyed at once. I felt it, maybe at least there will be news about us. People will talk about what's happening in Sudan. I didn't expect the much of help that will be provided to any other countries, but at least I expected people will talk about what's happening. When you see a genocide, when you see massacres, when you see people are killed in a very brutal ways, at least you'd expect there will be audiences, or there will be some sort of, like people just reacting to what's happening. And this is where the first name of our initiative came from, Saving Al Junaina. Al Junaina had one of the most terrible massacres where people were killed in thousands, and they killing them in a very brutal way. And at that time, I remember I wanted to scream and say, people, wake up. There is a massacre happening right now. There are people are being killed right now. And I know some of these fighters are afraid of media. At least they are afraid of publicity and media. If people talked about it, then somehow it would have stopped or anything, or at least will recover some of the people who are injured or anything. But there was nothing. I felt like I'm speaking into nothing, and that's why I said, okay, if the world is not doing anything, at least I will do something. I'm staying here and staying with my children. I'm helpless, but at least I have my page, my Twitter page, and the help of so many people who also wanted to do something for Sudan. We had social in the social, we had Twitter spaces. The spaces, we had it for days, connected, people were just connected for days, talking about what's happening in Sudan. There's a massacre, there's something happening in the war, how to help, what to do, how can we tip in. So and then we took this from here, from just finding safe ways to people to get out, to what the people need, and how many fled the country and went to Chad. And then what the people need in Chad, they needed, most of them are injured, so they need a medical clinic. Let's do the medical clinic. We have nurses, we have doctors who also fled. So they all said, okay, we can do something. Okay, what do you want? They said they want medication. Okay, then I talked, people, we need medication, we need money to provide medical supplies. Okay, what can we do? We have this and this. I have how much, this amount. People, please gather this. And then we went from there until we find support and fund, and then we continue our work until the work you see these days. But it starts with a hashtag, with someone who just wanted to do something. The true need from inside you, that you wanted to change something. This is what make this happen, because you do what you can, the best you can, and then it will happen eventually. People will believe you, especially if you are honest and you are doing this for the cause of the people. People will be there for you and support you. So I'm not saying that everyone is just ignoring Sudan, but there are people who are truly helping, who doesn't know me, who doesn't even know my name, who doesn't even they didn't see me even, but they chose to believe in me. They chose to believe in our cause. They chose to support us. And for that, I'm forever thankful for all of them. There is still good in the world, despite the fact that there's the media not covering us, but there are still people who are looking deep and trying to find information about what's happening in Sudan. So for them, I'm so grateful for that.
Why do you think that there's less media attention on Sudan compared to other places like Ukraine and Gaza that we hear about every single day, when there's similar death tolls, similar numbers of displaced people, but we don't hear about it?
I think because there are, as I said, these evil entities who are benefiting from the silence of the media. They are suppressing everything about Sudan, or everything about what's happening in Sudan. Just like the thing right now, if I'm trying to make GoFundMe account or any account that has the word Sudan on it, they will immediately close it. Even PayPal, they will close it. Anything related to Sudan, they will just close it. This is intentional. They are doing this intentional, so people will not look after what's happening in Sudan and just try to find what's going on. They are benefited from this. The war going, that's mean more money into their pocket, more items, gold or iron or whatever, come into their pockets, and they are paying that much. They are even weaponizing, the war in Sudan and everything, just to make it going, so they can benefit a lot. It's not just people are choosing to ignore what's happening. It's this being done intentional, playing with the algorithm and doing stuff. Yes, doing stuff just to put us, on the last.
Yeah, I remember when we first spoke that you were mentioning kind of just about the situation and the general frustration of how you're not getting, not that you want attention for attention's sake, but you want attention to so people can understand the issues and help the issues, and how you have genocide and you have displaced peoples and you have civil war and you have health issues and you have all of these huge, you have every humanitarian crisis that exists, and people still don't get access to that information to help. I don't know, George, do you have a follow up to that?
Just look at my next thing on my list was to get more into the work. I think that, often, we've worked with different projects in Ukraine who are responding to a crisis. And when you're responding to a crisis, what tends to happen is that there are multiple different parts of what the organizations are doing. And so I just was hoping that we could sort of go through each of the things that you're focused on. And then my second question was going to be the lives that you're impacting, people who are in these areas. What sort of journeys have they been on?
I think that's great. Understanding more about the work, as George said, you do so much. And like those grassroots movements, you're responding to so many different needs. And we really would like to try to humanize the journey of somebody who starts in Sudan and then has to cross into the border into Chad, and what a daily life it is like in a displaced people's camp. Because it's one thing to say it, but I think that we just kind of say it and it goes in one ear and one out the other. And I would kind of like to understand what that reality is like a little bit better. So yeah, I agree with you,
Yes.
George. Those are two good directions. I'm with you.
Two big questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I am not experienced in humanitarian work, just to start with. But when you are Sudanese, you are forced to know about many things, about even weapons. Even children in Sudan now knows about type of weapons, unfortunately. But I had to I thought when the war happened, I thought like big organization will just want it to work and wanted to help. And if I reach to them, okay, I said I'm connected to what's happening in Sudan, they will say, okay, go ahead. What do you want? How can we help you? How can we adjust our rules just to suit the life of the people who are dying right now? But unfortunately, the opposite happened. I met so many obstacles and so many, I heard so many things that could frustrate anyone who doesn't have enough motivation. One of them was our funds for Sudan are limited. And the other, we just don't have the capacity to work here. Or are you registered? Who are we? We are just people trying to help. We are not registered. We don't know anything about registration. I don't know anything about registering an organization. Even if I wanted to register and it's that smooth, we're talking about a country collapse. We don't have a system. How can I register in such small time frame? And the things they are asking you to, and then they will just, some of them just ignore your email. Like we try to connect with so many of them. Some will ignore your email. Some will just ask you like, no, we are not dealing with unregistered entities and anything. So I find myself like, okay, I need to talk to people, at least Sudanese, or who knows what's happening in Sudan and can do something. So this is where the social media, unfortunately, we are in the age where social media is a very powerful tool. So when people see it and make sure it's true and they can identify and verify this is happening and this is true, they will believe you and then they will try to help you. And this is what happened. I reached so many people and most of them wanted to help, wanted to do something, and they trusted me somehow. I faced many people who are questioning me, but the good thing, I document everything. I make sure there's transparency of my work. This is what I learned, that I need to be transparent about everything. I need to do everything in a way where people can see and can verify. And this is how we go. And then you find yourself in choices, like you have to make some hard choices. Should I take this money to register, or should I take this money to feed the people who are dying? And you will find yourself, should I give this money to someone who needs a surgery, or should I give it to someone who needs to eat? Should I give this to the woman who is dying because she needs a surgery immediately, or should I give it to the child who's dying because he needs a surgery immediately? You'll find yourself making this very strong decision, and you just have to deal with it. You're making this decision, and then you have to live with it. You have to live with the nightmare that I made this decision, I have to choose this. And it's not me. It's not me. I'm being forced to make this decision, but you have to live with your decision. You have to work hard and trust people, and not trust people at the same time. Trust people and then find out no money change people, and don't trust people and then try to like verify everything. You will find yourself in a very difficult situation most of the time, but somehow you keep going. Many obstacles you find. I opened, for example, 4 GoFundMe. 4 of them were closed because I did things wrong, or I wrote about Sudan, or how I sent the money to Sudan, how they verify this. I also find that, unfortunately, most of these platforms we're using to get funds, not most of them, all of them, they just work in a specific countries only. Sudan, Chad, whatever work. It's none of them. Up until this day, there are people who are trying to help, but they don't know how to help because they cannot open a platform where they can receive money or donation for Sudan. You have to, just look up all the options you have and go from this option from one to another. The good thing about our work, it's all Sudanese refugees or Sudanese in general who are helping themselves. So when anyone donates to us, he knows that this money is going directly to help Sudanese, either refugees or paying incentive to people who are working also, who are also refugees. So this is one of the models we have that, okay, we are helping, this is from us, we are helping, giving back to community. Also, we are working in like, we take the group that from inside the community. For example, if you're working in the capital in Khartoum, we'll find people from inside the capital who are working, will not bring people from outside. So this way, I'll make sure that every work is happening from the local. There's enough trust, and you can verify because they know this guy, and most of these people who know each other, or people I know from distance. So this way, I trust them. This is one of the things also I learned in a hard way, because when you trust people who are not untrustworthy, or you don't know them, or you cannot verify them, you might end up losing a lot of things. Our work expanding in a very fast pace. We're facing obstacles, but we manage somehow to overcome these obstacles, because I think we are trying to do something good. And when you try to do something good, eventually you will succeed. If you have enough motivation and you really want it to change, you will succeed to do so. I'm sorry, I forget the second question.
Just to follow up on that, so specifically, you guys, you're doing work all over Sudan, but it's
And Chad.
specifically with that and the displaced people's groups. And most of the work that you're doing is providing food, medical care, and outreach for people in the refugee camps, correct?
Yes, and also in Chad we provide healthcare, like mental health care services, and we also have education as well. But it's small programs. It's not big programs for education.
So that,
We are
for instance,
yes.
if you're doing education, you'll hire a teacher who's also living in the displaced people's
Yes,
camp to
because
give
in the
education.
camp itself, there's a huge community in the camp. There are teachers, there are doctors, there are engineers, there are all type of people who are willing to help, but they don't have the necessary resources to do so, because there are also refugees looking for a source of living. So if you just give them, like, for example, we build a tent, we brought stationaries for the students and everything, then we end up having a classroom. People will benefit from this.
Yeah.
It's really incredible, Sadeia. I think,
Thank you.
one of the key words that I've taken away from you in your bit was trust, actually, because we talk a lot about, at Sadeia, we talk a lot about trust-based philanthropy. And so we want to actively work with lived experience, local change makers on the ground like yourself, exactly like you're talking about. Sort of, so therefore that when, if you raise £10, you can put £8 of that into emergency relief for young people, and then £2 of it goes into a local salary of somebody who's actually living in that hardship too. Yeah, so trust is a big, and you mentioned at the beginning that that certain platforms not allowing you to fundraise there, or bigger organizations saying, oh, we can't work with you until you're registered. And the issue with that is that you lose, those big organizations lose all that impact that that local change makers like yourself are able to have, and not just with any old beneficiaries either, but your most at-risk individuals, because the person who's living in the refugee camp or the displaced persons camp, they know who's the most needy, they know who's the most hungry, they know who's in need of the surgery the most. And so they have the, as opposed to the sort of bigger organizations who can provide a much bigger blanket solution, it's local organizations like yourself that are really able to get into the parts of the community that others can't. So again, not a question from me, just a statement of just an amazing work that you're doing.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so
I just
excellent.
wanted to, sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I just wanted to say that unfortunately, if you decided to donate for us through PayPal, so PayPal is connected to a bank account. PayPal will take part of the money, for example, 5%. And then you send this to bank account. And then the bank account, you withdraw the money, you will have to send it through black market to Sudan. And then the money goes to black market. And then in Sudan also, in order to cash this money, they will take part of it. Okay. So $10 might end up to be $7. People should understand how much struggle we put ourselves to. I myself, I lost my bank account. I could have ended up in jail or any critical situation because I had to use my personal account, because I cannot open organization account, because I'm not living in a country where I'm allowed to, or I cannot go to a country where I'm allowed to. So yes, people should know that it's not just the money you are putting and then you put it and that's it. The struggle of taking this money back to Sudan. And we had one of the workers who had the cash, and he ended up beaten because some groups found him with the money and they end up beating him, and we had to send him outside Sudan. So we are putting our life into risk, and they are making it very hard for us to send money to Sudan. It's not just opening platforms. Even if you receive the money somehow, it's hard to put it inside Sudan. To send this money to Sudan, it's very hard. And they're making us very, it's make it impossible to us. And every time, my family is telling me, stop, what are you doing? You're putting yourself into risk. But people are literally dying. One day we stop. If one day we stop one of our kitchen, that's mean this whole day, families will not have a meal today. I remind myself of this, and then I keep going, because this is life, you live it once, and if you didn't make this change, and if you didn't make this sacrifices now, and if you didn't try hard now, when are you going to try?
Yeah, it's when you were talking kind of about how some of it seems like it's almost on purpose that Sudan is not getting media recognition. I also feel like that when it comes to the funding side and the support side, not only specific to Sudan, but it's just so many hoops to jump through and so many regulations. Organizations and small organizations working in communities that have extreme need, they're almost set up to fail, because even if you've done an amazing job at setting up a program, and you've created a funding base out of nothing. Like, you have a GoFundMe account and people all over the world that want to support you. And now they're not going to let you, or they're not going to help you get the funds into the country. So you said, at first, it sounds like you went to the large organizations. They said no. So you said, okay, I'm going to do it myself. I build my funding base. And now the large organizations are saying no again to you and not allowing you to get the money that's rightfully yours, that you fundraise through your networking and through growing your social media to help the people that you so deeply care about. And I mean, I deeply, deeply admire your resistance and your determination and your grit, because every step of the way, it seems like there's another massive hurdle that you have to get over. And I mean, George and I really believe that so much what's wrong with the charity sector is he's talking about trust-based philanthropy, but it's just like there's so many hoops and so many regulations that it's almost set up for people like yourself who are doing the most amazing impact to not be able to succeed. And it's hard to understand why. We don't understand it. But yeah, just once again, we are just in awe of your determination and the work that you're doing and continue to do with all of those struggles.
They just wanted us to give up. give up. They
They
just
just want
wanted us to give up
easier to
and
give
let
up.
go of the country. Yes.
I was just going to go to your next question because I am curious kind of about what daily life is like in displaced people's camps in Chad, and kind of humanizing that journey and sense of what it actually is like to have to go from Sudan to Chad and what life is like there.
And
Yeah.
just to add to that as well, these aren't statistics; they're real on the ground people. I think that I read that there's been sort of 12 million forcibly displaced people since 2023 or something like that.
Yes, I think it's
and
almost 14.
It's almost 14 now. And I think when people hear like such a huge statistic like that, it's like, that's terrifying. And I'm so not able to even think about that because it's such a large number. So I'm really interested to hear about some of these journeys that some of the people, the individuals, the families that you've supported on the ground. So people can get an idea. It's, they're not statistics, they're real individuals.
Yeah. So I'll tell you a story about one of the survivors who left from Sudan to Chad. I think most of the people in Al Junaina, where the city where happened the massacre, most of them left at the day when they killed the governor of the area. Most of them, when that happened, the killing was happening at that day. So they will, if you see the map, Sudan and Chad, it's very close, the areas, Adre and Al Junaina. It's very close. People can just walk there and it's not very far. Even there are tribes, that are connected from this country to this country. When that happened, most people run away because they ended up killed or taken away. Most of the women or children, they took them away. So she said, and I asked her permission to tell her story also. She's an orphan. She was there with her mom and her brothers and sister. And when it happened, you see, it's like everyone is screaming, the governor is killed, like the troops are everywhere and they're attacking everyone. So there's just people running everywhere in the middle of the night. So she ran until she reached Adre. And when she reached there, she found out that her family is missing. She's there alone. She asked everyone, "Hi, everyone, where's my family? Did you see my family? Did you see my family?" And they told her, "Your brother, I think we saw your brother here. I think they took him away." So she's actually in college, her first year in college. She was like, "I need to go back to get my brother, my little brother." So she made the decision of going back to her house. She went back with some of the people who thought, okay, this is happening just for a while and then, the troops are gone and that's it. So she went back to her house. When she went to her house, sadly, there was RSF soldiers and she said there were 3 of them waiting for her. "Where are you going?" She said, "This is my house. I'm looking for my brother. I'm looking for my family. Come here." And they call her these names and, "What are you doing here? Why you came here?" And asking her these weird questions. Immediately know that something wrong is gonna happen. She was like, "I'm an orphan, let me go. I'm just came here to find my brother. Please let me go." Of course, they didn't let her go and they ended up raping her. And she spent the night, after they finished, she spent the night in her house and she couldn't move. And then she woke up the next day and she just had to, after they left, she found herself like she has to go back. And she went back. Fortunately, she found her mother and her sister. She couldn't tell the story to her mother, but she told her sister. And this is what happened to her. And of course, she was crying a lot when she was telling the story, but I reminded her, like, okay, you are very strong. You are not the one who had any problem. They are the one who had the problem. And you are very strong. And what's happening to you, it's like, this is not because some people blame themselves for coming back, or maybe I shouldn't have come back or anything. But, and she was like, I tried everything just to escape, but I couldn't. Of course, you cannot escape. They are armed people and everything. And I'm telling her, you are strong for seeking help. And you are strong for coming back as strong. Some commit suicide or get rid of their lives. And she's fighting up until this day. And she wanted to tell her story. And she wanted other people or other girls to feel like, okay, this is not the end. And what's happening to you is not the end. And you are strong and you can do this. So this is one of the stories of people who are fleeing their home. There are also stories about women fleeing during that day, carrying their babies on their back, because as African women, we take the scarf and you just put your son in the back and you just go. And the soldiers were just stabbing the children on their back. So you ended up coming, thinking you are fleeing with your children, and you're just carrying their corpses. And also, I talked to women who made their boys dressing up as girls so they don't take them. Because one of them told me they just take the boys, they lay them on the floor and they step on them with their touchers. So many things horrible happening to these people. You cannot imagine the trauma that's happening to these people coming to this area, coming to Chad. And the good thing that the authorities in Chad welcomed them. They didn't stop them like other, for example, in Egypt, they had to stop for days, and people died, in the process, just going to the country. But at least they were welcome and they let them in. So you came to this area wearing nothing but you having nothing except your clothes. Even if they met you and they decided to let you go, if they find you wearing fancy clothes, they will just take it from you. These are the soldiers. So you came there walking on foot and tired, exhausted, and the city itself was on siege, and the death everywhere. And even the water, they poisoned the water. The goal was they wanted to evacuate the city. That was the goal. So you came to this new country, sitting there, you find yourself in the middle of nowhere. Adre is a very small, it's not a city, it's a village where there is it's not even, it doesn't have lots of facilities or anything. And you will find yourself either welcomed by the people of Adre, because some of them just, okay, you can come sit with us. And then when there are more and more people coming, we're talking about one of the camp, just one of the camp. It's called Al Malik camp, where we are working. We have 260,000 Sudanese. If you are lucky, you will get a tent from the WFP and food. If they registered you, most of the time they don't register everyone. And you and your family just sitting under a tree and walking up the next day into this terror, reminded yourself what happened, what's happening, and I'm here in this country, don't have anything, don't know what to do, and I don't have anything to eat. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm just waiting, begging for food or going to the market. Most of the people just go beg in the street. Chad is a poor country as well. So just imagine yourself stuck in this camp, cannot go back because the RSF are still there. If you go back, they would kill you. You're staying here, you have nothing, you're just waiting for a big organization to help you. They will not help you, or the help is not enough. Sometimes they give them food rations for 2 months, does not last them for a month, not even a month. Your children are crying, hungry, you are injured probably. Okay, maybe you have a disabled kid, or you have a chronic disease. What you gonna do? You can't do anything. You just go beg on the street, go to the organization, and the way they treat you. And by the way, they don't speak your language, because in Chad they speak French and you speak in Arabic. Not even Arabic. Like your Arabic is like some people don't even speak Arabic very clear. So you'll find yourself like this, just waiting for help. What you gonna do? We talk about 260,000. Our clinic serve up to 75 persons per day. We feed up to 1,000 kids per day. What about the others? What can we do to the others? How they will eat will end up. Children will go wait in line for food, waiting in line. Families will come bringing their children, and they're not expecting to have a meal. Only the children will have a meal if they are lucky and the meal is not finished. Just try to think about this unknown future. You don't know when the war will end. You don't know how you're going to go back. You don't know what you're going to do for your children. And you don't have any way of finding a job or doing a job. Women there are just considered cheap labor. They're working as masters. They're working in the field, doing lots of, hard work for less than the minimum wage. So this is how is their life there. We're not even talking about, we're talking about meals. We're not talking about how's your mental health. We're not talking about the people who commit suicide because they don't see any future. The disabled who have no, even a single organization thought, okay, we're going to take care of the children because we are children-based organization, so we're going to take care of the children. No, we are education, so we're going to take care of education. Big organization who are fancy and have big reputation, and they are getting millions of dollars. They didn't think about that because that is not their goal. There come us who are struggling to put, like, to get the money, who are, when we open platform, we will get it shut down or held by the bank or questioned by the system or flag or whatever. Who, when I opened a PayPal, they told me, you cannot open PayPal by registering in different country. You have to open PayPal in the country you are registered in. When you open in the country you are registered in, they will close it saying, we'll close it, but we cannot tell you the reason. Okay, then what we do? How we gonna help?
Yeah.
Just like that.
Thank you for sharing some of those stories. And yeah, it's left me
And
kind
we
of
just talked about
being-
Chad. Yes, we just talked about Chad. We didn't even talk about the stories. Yesterday, I had a case of a woman she miscarried. Okay, so she needed to be admitted to hospital, and you know how much she needed? $100 just to have a surgery, and she ended up dying because we couldn't send the $100 in the time. So many lives we just lose because of this complicated steps. If the life of people is not worth that, at least this, then what is worth? What is worth? What worth?
Yeah, that's really powerful. I mean, what Dylan was going to say was that he was sort of feeling a bit left speechless, and so am I. And so I wanted to ask you. You know, you said you're doing 75 sessions in clinic a day, and you're feeding 1,000 people a day, and those are real stories of power. So people understand. You know, what does it cost you? If you don't have the numbers, you don't have the numbers. But what does it cost you to put on a clinic for a day for 75 people, or what does it cost you to do
Yes.
1,000 meals? So people
Yes.
can understand how far their support can really go. You know.
Yes, our clinic costs monthly $15,000. Okay. Yes. So we're spending $10,000, and the $5,000 ended up into fuel because there are no the clinic itself. It's like, we don't have electricity, of course. So we have fuel, we have incentives for the worker. We're talking about the workers who are working there. We're also talking about other water, because we need water in the clinic. So we end up purchasing everything. So this is $15,000 for the clinic. For the children meal, we're talking about $10,000 up to $12,000 a month. But we providing a single meal, not 2 or 3 meals. Your son will get a single meal, unfortunately. But it's for them, it's better than nothing. We're talking about $10,000 for a single meal per day, and
For 1,000 people.
For 1,000 kids, which has to be a children. Yes. And for the trauma center, we have a trauma center where we meet with the survivors, or we meet with women. We have a safe space for children, where you give them some of the education or fun or activities, or just treat with them. It's only cost $4,000 a month, because just the place where we operate them, and the incentives for the worker, and the refreshment we bring to these ladies and children. So this is how much it costs. It's not considerably it doesn't cost that much, but it makes lots of difference. I remember, like, we're talking about this camp. Just think about the youth. Think about the one who are my children age, 13 years old. There's no activities. So we made an activity, a fun activity, and football games. But we made, yes, this is sport championship, yes, and everyone was competing and everything, and there was also a champion, and we gave them a trophy, and everyone was so happy, because this is sort of a change. They are not right now, they are not refugees, are competitors. They are playing sport, they are happy, they are running, they are having a goal, having a purpose. Right now they are doing it. We also have activities for the women, where we we apply them henna and makeup and just, refreshment. So we try to take their, at least if we give them 1 hour in their day where they are just happy, you can, if you're happy for at least an hour a day, maybe you can survive the rest of your day. Just, we are making lots of difference, and we have generation of the children who are happy and excited about what's happening. At least they have a free meal, they can play in the trauma center. We have games where they can play, and at least, like, if you are sick, we provide you with free medication. That's our goal. We have free medication for the patient, and at least we treat you nice. That's one of the things that the patient told us. You treat us nice. So when they go to any other clinic, they don't treat them nice. This is very bad. If you're going to do something good, at least do it in a good way. At least do it in a kind way. You're providing help, do it in a kind way. If I give you a spoon of food with a smile, you will take it happily.
Yeah, it's people living in undescribable situations, but offering them a chance to just feel human again and cared for,
Yes.
and the amount of impact that creates from just being nice to offering them an activity to forget and just not going to use the word normal, but be able to feel like a person and feel like somebody cares for them is, I imagine that kind of impact is, yeah, it's undescribable. It's massive.
And from their community as well. I think that's I know I've said it before
Yes.
on this podcast, but it's just a massive piece of that for me. It's just like when you're describing all of this about the meals for the children and the clinic or the football sessions for young people or whatever it might be, somebody treating them and being kind to them. It's also, you've got all of that impact, but then above that as well, it's a bunch of people who are paid, who are in the community, their lived experience themselves.
Exactly.
And they understand the realities of the people they're supporting. And yeah, it's just massive. I mean, you really do move mountains, Sadeia.
Yeah.
I wanted just a final question, the main message that you wanted somebody to take away that's listening to the podcast. What's an important message you want them to take away and know and understand?
I just wanted to tell people, like, don't feel like you're not doing anything. Do something. Do something. Even if you're just going to share this podcast, if you're going to listen to it, if you're going to donate, if you're going to talk about it, deliver the message to someone else who might do something, at least you are doing something. Don't feel like, okay, these people living far away from me, we are not. No, we are living in the same planet and we see the same sun. Okay. So at least let's feel about each other. And as I said, we live once. So make a change in this life. If you didn't make a change, you didn't live. I'm pretty sure you never lived. If you didn't make a change in someone else's life, you never lived. So do something. Don't stay still. Staying still is the worst thing. Ignoring is the worst. Do anything, even if it's minimum, and talk about Sudan. Talk about anything you think is wrong about the world and try to change it. And you can, because I made this change, so I know if I'm this vulnerable person who did something, then everyone can.
Thank you so much for that inspiration. No act is too small, and the ripple effect, you never know what'll happen. It's been such a pleasure learning more about
Same.
your work and speaking with you. I know that you're having some issues, as you were mentioning, with PayPals and GoFundMe's. If somebody does want to support you, where can they go? And then
Currently we're having a Shaft account. One of the people who we are blessed. That's why I'm saying we are grateful. One of the people who are open Shaft for us. So we have 2 Shaft accounts, one for Sudan and one for Chad. I will share with you and you can put it. Yeah, you can use it.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.